I am so proud to announce that Atlantis Centers Inc. nominated Nelly Fadel as beautiful president to lead us to the next chapter of our life.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for everyone who elected me. I'm excited to start this new chapter. I think we're going to have a fun time with the new series that we're going to be doing. Every weekend we'll be having workshops discussing a different range of topics, from living life post-COVID to finding ways to sleep better and taking care of your health. So our main goal through Atlantis Centers is to kind of reach and train a diverse group of individuals and youth on the issues in our environment and the health risks that come with it, and how to fix them, how to approach them. We'd be doing this through these workshops and through Sunrise University, which is established under Atlantis Centers. And this would help us increase like the human resources that would be needed to treat these patients with these diseases and other difficulties. I think the first topic for today would be environmental pollution. We all know about climate change, and we all know, oh, we should recycle, we should save energy. But taking that a step further, how does it impact our lives directly? Air quality, the way we're like exposed to toxins in our water, drinking water, swimming water, keeping our beaches clean, the whole issue with the growing algae that's stopping us from entering our oceans, and overfishing that's impacting our farmers and our local food stores. Now, with COVID, we found that we haven't been outdoors as much, and because we were kind of forced inside and now everyone's pushing to go outside, we're coming to realize that we have a lot of issues with our environment. And even more directly, we find that our environment, if we've been out of touch with it, it could hurt us. With COVID, our immune system's weakened because we were inside and we weren't exposed to our environment as much as we wanted to. So the bugs and germs that are around us seem a bit harsher, and we'll have stronger colds and flu viruses. And on top of that, if you were to get COVID or recover from COVID, that recovery period after, you still have a low immunity and you'll still be exposed to those germs. So how can we kind of ease ourselves into that without having to go back inside and taking care of ourselves again?
So, from experience, I know that few of your friends did get COVID. When people say no, COVID is not existing, what do you think of that?
COVID does exist. Depending how it affects you, it affects everyone differently. It's a virus, just like the flu. It's going to affect your body differently depending on like your immunity, how like if you eat, like your nutrition, all of these things. There are a lot of different factors that go into it. How you're treating COVID. I have friends that didn't really take any medicine, they didn't do anything, they went on with their lives in isolation, and then they recovered and they were fine. And I have friends that went to the hospital and they were put on medication and IV fluid and during their isolation period, and they came out and they were fine. So I think it really depends on the person and how bad your symptoms are, because it's going to affect everyone differently. Coming out of it, though, with a low immunity, some people seem to be fine and some people seem to get sick again with just like a common cold. Or since we were at college, we had a lot of strep cases that kind of showed up after COVID spikes.
Many people think that we will never go back to our baseline. What do you think of that? So if you just like share with us what helped your friends or people who got COVID to recover naturally?
I think to address the first question, I think it is possible to return to our baseline. I think it is possible for us to return to normal, even though everyone's saying that this is our new normal. I think it's a big part of it is mindset. Because if the community as a collective works towards reaching that old normal, and we don't become lazy because we've been used to working at home and working part-time, and we can function and those small businesses can reopen and we can continue to produce. In terms of recovering naturally, I think a big part of it was trying to get outside for fresh air. At school, any of the COVID patients we had They were allowed 30 minutes outside. And I feel those 30 minutes of fresh air and sunlight helped a lot, just mentally. Because I find that when you're sick, if you're like, oh, I'm sick, you're not going to feel any better. But if you're like, okay, I'm going to get through this, I will recover, it does help to an extent. In terms of a medication, drinking lots of fluids, like staying hydrated, because if you're having fevers, you're going to be dehydrated because you're going to be sweating a lot more. It helps replenish the body. A lot of vitamins, electrolytes to support your immunity. Things like that are very helpful. Warm or cold fluids, depending on your symptoms, and antibiotics if necessary. But we find that your body can fight these things naturally. Just like how you have a common cold, you don't really take anything until you feel like you really need to. That's how a lot of us felt with COVID. You don't really need to take the Tylenol unless you really need to take the Tylenol, because your body can handle it to an extent. Now, people who are immunocompromised, that's a different story. Some people need that extra hydration through the IV fluids and they need heavier medication, but those are special cases. I think your day-to-day person should be able to kind of naturally withstand a virus or a cold to some extent without any conservative intervention.
I really appreciate what you said about it really depends on the terrain and the immune system of each individual, and that you definitely support people to switch from being the sick care to the well care. And when we say well care, meaning wellness. So many people during COVID, their home became a sanctuary for their wellness. Could you share with us what kind of change COVID did to you as an individual, and have you had that opportunity to create your own home wellness?
So in both places, actually, both at home for me personally and at school, managed to incorporate wellness into my personal living space. And I tried to stay fit because we know that it's like scientifically proven that working out does boost your immunity. And on top of that, at home, cooking in the kitchen, like just cleaner meals and things of that nature.
That's awesome. The last thing I would like you to talk about, and that's also going to be in our series of workshops, the stress and how the stress could affect your immune system.
Right, so college is already stressful enough. New social circles, new academic rigor, new living environment. Things aren't as cleanly as your home would be. And you come to find that when you're in the middle of midterm week or finals week and you're studying, you're going to forget to eat. You're going to forget to go work out. You probably won't leave your dorm room as much, or you won't leave the library as much because you're kind of just stuck sitting. And on top of that, you're stressed. So not keeping track of your health and high stress levels is not really the best thing for your immunity and your health in general. So you find yourself, you're getting weaker, you're tired, you're not sleeping as much, probably because you're working late hours. And I found that my immunity dropped personally, and like I ended up getting like a light post-nasal drip. But then I was like, okay, let's stop. You need to take a break for your health and mentally, because if I keep working, you're going to be burned out, and then you won't perform well on your exams either way. So I think a big part of it is just kind of taking a step back and acknowledging the fact that you forgot. I think that's the first step to take care of yourself. And then from there, whatever steps you need to take to remind yourself to eat, remind yourself to go on a walk if you need to, get at least 8 hours of sleep in, things like that.
Nelly, I want to say congratulations to this year. You did awesome, and thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you for having me.